Good afternoon. Welcome to the City of Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. Today is January 23rd, 2024. It is currently 6:13 p.m. I officially call this meeting to order. Will the clerk please do the roll call?
Board Member Bass. Here. Board Member Irvin.
Here.
Vice Chair Williams.
Present.
And I'm not sure if Board Member Williams has joined virtually. No, she has not.
So since we don't have a quorum tonight, we won't be able to vote on any of the resolutions, but it's my understanding that there wasn't a plan to vote on any of the resolutions. And so my hope is that what we can do today is actually just talk through some of the items, and Mr. Manager, you can present these items to us and tell us what you're thinking. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay, so before we do that, let's if Board Member Bass, if you wouldn't mind giving the invocation.
All that's within me, bless his holy name. Father, we thank you for this opportunity to serve. Father God, we ask you that you would grant us, oh God, vision. We ask you, God, that you would grant us oneness, oh God. Help us, oh God, to come to conclusions, oh God, that will better our community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Now the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we get into the discussion items, are there any public comments?
No, Madam Vice Chair.
Okay. Okay. With that, let's move into our discussion. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Board members, thank you. I hope everyone had a wonderful holidays. As I spoke with the chairwoman and the the clerk, the agenda that we put forward to you today was meant to be an agenda not for us to vote on, because none of you have had the opportunity to digest what's on this agenda. These are ideas that came from our administration without your input. And so the idea would be that we would at least have them somewhat prepared in draft form and then get your ideas, because there are some notice requirements for some of these that we realize that we need to do. So these can be done either at the February meeting or a special meeting in February, whenever we're ready to move forward. But these items that are placed here today were meant only for discussion purposes. And so that's why you'll notice some of the background, some of the backup information is not, is in draft form. And that's done on purpose because we want to hear from you. And we know that you all have busy schedules. We try to arrange meetings for these briefings with all 7 of you, but because of the holidays, the beginning of the year, that's been difficult. So this meeting was always meant to be a special meeting to just discuss some projects that we're working on and get your feedback. And with that, the first thing I want to do is the first thing I want to do is amend the agenda if I can and add 2 things because you always forget something. I'll just add 1 thing actually, and that is a discussion about park improvements within the CRA. We do have $200,000 in our budget for park improvement, and that was 1 item that was left off of the discussion report. I noticed that earlier today. So I'll start from the bottom to the top. And the first item is the adoption of the procurement code for the city of Opa-locka. This is a requirement to be done by the CRA. We have not been able to find where that has been done. So just in an abundance of caution, we want to fully adopt the city of Opa-locka's procurement code as the procurement code for the CRA. And that's pretty straightforward. And then that will allow us to, if you go to the next item, sorry, my computer went a little crazy. So that will allow us to, if you go to item number, what is this? It's not my agenda. Hold on, sorry. I pulled up the city commission agenda, not the CRA agenda. So that takes me to the third item. And so that's really the biggest item that I want to talk to you about today. Because we've had much discussion about this with the procurement officer here at the city of Opa-locka and also with our attorneys. And so I'm going to walk you through this process because this is when it's important for you to understand, because I don't want somebody saying later we didn't you didn't tell us that. And so basically what we're doing in October, you all establish two programs. One is the micro business program, where we give up to $35,000 to small businesses that are opening or remodeling their establishment for minor repairs, or for even if you're starting up a business to pay, for employees. We do reimbursements for employees for startups as well. Or you could do paint job, minor plumbing job, electrical job within the establishment. The other was you allocated $1 million for a major rehab of commercial facilities. So that's the biggest program that you have right now. And that program was passed in October. And we took the time in November to really strategically go out, and because it's only $1 million. It sounds like a lot of money, but it's really not a lot of money. Especially, so the idea was that, you would give each property on average $100,000 to fix up the facade of their property. I can tell you that when we got into this, just with the 3 or 4 that we went out doing just rough estimates on, probably going to be more than that, and I'm probably going to have to end up coming back to you to increase the amount of the program. But we have identified 10. Maybe not, because some of them are not going to be above 100,000. Some of them will. Some of them will be far less than 100,000. Like you see the Jackson Soul Food 2 annex there. That's only a paint job, so obviously that's not going to come close to 100,000. But we're nowhere near getting the numbers final. But we have this project, and as the board member said, these properties, we think, and I think the board member agreed, are properties in very strategic locations within the city of Opa-locka, within the CRA. We plan on offering this grant to these property owners. All of them have their applications in, or are in the process of getting their applications in. Some of the work that we plan on doing is replacement of windows. So all of them will have hurricane impact windows, paint, roof repair, parking lot. Some of the parking lots are, little potholes and things like that. Just take the parking lot completely, restripe, ADA accessible to the buildings. Miss Lee across the street here with the Peak Building with the printing shop, she has her issue started with a door. Fix the door, the windows, open those windows up, make it get curb appeal. So the point is, this program is moving forward. So we went through the application. We started telling the first 3 or 4 people, you all have to go out and you have to find your own contractor, and you have to do this job on your own. And we realized very quickly that that's not going to work, because people they don't know how to navigate that process. And so if we want to get this done, we're going to have to, what they say, do it yourself. So after talking with each one of these people, they would rather have us do it for them. So that requires some consent, that requires some waivers, that requires agreements that the lawyers will be working on. We would have 2 separate agreements, one with the property owner and one with the contractor. So what we want to do is basically bypass I wouldn't say bypass the procurement process, because we'll still keep the procurement process as it pertains to the subcontractors, but we need project management consultant for these construction projects. Somebody that's gonna move some people that will move these projects forward quickly. So for example, if I wanted to hire a project manager, I would have to do maybe an RFQ, which would be a request for qualifications, which would probably take, I asked the procurement person that's here, and I gave my guess first, and he confirmed what my guess was, which would probably take 4 to 6 months to go through that process. And the same with an RFP, if we wanted to request for a proposal to someone to provide us that service. And so what I'm requesting is basically that we determine that that's not fast enough to make a real impact on our community, to give our community the facelift that it needs today, not in 2025. So what we're asking for is for this commission to approve every project on a project by project basis, and also approve the budget and the project management consultant, whoever that may be. Now, just so you know, I have a list on the list of projects that were done in the city of Opa-locka. I found 3 individuals who work for construction companies that have done work in Opa-locka. These people are from Opa-locka. I don't know who they are. I met them in my tenure here for the past 4 months. I've gone out and I've seen their projects that they've done in the city of Opa-locka. I see that they've done good work. They've done work for 10 North Group. They've done work for, other people that have built housing in Opa-locka. So I've seen it for myself. And I just went and said, look, this is the problem I have. Would you help me navigate? And again, I don't know these people, state attorney's office. I don't have any idea who these people are, but I just want somebody to help us expedite the process. And so these people, they would go through the normal, whatever qualification process, they would submit whatever papers, licenses that would be required in an RFQ, but you all would approve them when you approve the project. And so, for example, if we had an application for, let's say, Jackson Soul Food 2, we would have a scope of work, a budget. You will see that we would have received 2 or 3 bids for the windows. You will receive that we've received 2 or 3 bids for the paint job. We'll receive 2 to 3 bids for the roof. We will receive 2 or 3 bids for the parking lot. You'll have a scope of work, and you'll have a project manager that will be the overseer of that project to expedite that project. So what I plan on doing is we have 10, is the 3 people that I've identified in Opa-locka is just split it up. Somebody's going to get 4, and the other 2 would get 3. And these are the projects that you're going to work on, and these projects will be done by June. But in order to do that, you need to waive the procurement code that you will adopt at the next meeting. And so that is the process. I don't mind going through the normal process but this is a process too. And that's why they created it. And that's to get results quickly, especially when we haven't had results in a long time. So this is my answer. You don't have to accept it. And we can go through the city can put out an RFP for the contractors, or we can allow the property owners to do it on their own, which I can tell you, the first 3 or 4 that started out doing it on their own, it didn't turn out well. It's going to take a long time. We can go through that. But if you want to see something done, this is my recommendation on how to get it done.
So I think we've got some questions. Yes.
Madam Chair, to the manager. Question, how many or are there any businesses on downtown Opa-locka Boulevard that are in the CRA?
No.
Okay. Well, that kills my question. Thank you.
Any other questions?
We looked and because I thought it was, but this is when I first got here. And then we came back to the office and looked at the map, and it's like this. And so that's over there, outside the boundaries. Because we were going to come in off of Opa-locka Boulevard, and it didn't quite work out for us. But the point is that if these are 10, And I think you all will be impressed once these 10 are done. But you also have additional money in your reserve so that if we do go over, I mean, that's what the money is supposed to be spent for. It's supposed to be spent for improving the streetscape of the city. So there's no need to hold on to it, right? So
Correct.
if we want to add more buildings and we do 20 buildings this fiscal year, we could do that as well. We could come back and do that as well.
Well, I like your idea about doing the contractors. That way we know that it's gonna be done. It won't be no miscommunication when it comes to the funds and stuff like that, and we'll be able to see things beautified.
And the contractors that I'm recommending, they are contractors, but I'm not asking them to do this in their role as a contractor. They're not doing the job. They've got to follow the process, what the application says. So you have to go out and still get the 2 bids for the windows. You just have to go out and get the 2 bids. They are just managing that process because they know that process. They're contract, but they won't be hired as contractors. They will be hired as program managers, project managers, whatever. That will just facilitate getting the job done in an expedited manner. So that's that item. So we have item 5, which would adopt the city's procurement
I'm
code.
sorry, just a quick question. So I know we're not voting tonight, but in what order are you thinking, or were we thinking, or what would we like to do first? Which one first? Or all of it's gonna
All of
be
these
done at
things
the
will be
same
done at the
time?
same time.
Okay,
If we had 3 people, 3 companies, and you split them up between the 3 companies and they could all get started at the same time, there's no, and the estimates that we've received on some of, like the Arabian Bar liquor store, I remember the estimate on that was 3 months. Like you can have a brand new, I talked to the sign guy. I talked to the sign guy of the sign that is on top of that building that's been there forever. And there's a guy that's interested who did the Copperstone on Biscayne Boulevard. Like we're gonna be able to pay to actually have that sign professionally replaced by the same person that refurbished the Copperstone baby on Biscayne Boulevard. All that could be done within 3 months or 9 months. Depends on what you want to do.
Board Member Bass.
no, it's okay, he answered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Board Member Urban, did you have another question? Okay. So the one thing I will say is, Mr. Manager, thank you for hearing us, right? So one of the things that you hear on this board is their desire to move quickly. And so I really value you hearing and receiving that feedback and then figuring out a way around the processes and systems to make sure that we can actually do that. The one question I have, you started to answer it. So it seems like there is one property that we can finish within 3 months. What do you anticipate the timeline is for all of the projects? So let's say 3 months to a year. What does that look like?
I would like to have all these buildings done by, I'll give myself some time, September 30th of this year.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you. Any other questions before we move on to the next discussion item?
Well, just to piggyback on what you just said, I just cannot wait to go down 27th Avenue and to see just a whole new look in our community. It's well overdue, and I'm just anticipating going and cutting the ribbon with my colleagues, with all of you. So thank you.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you. Okay, so that takes care of item 5. And then again, we're gonna clean these up for the meeting. And also, by the way, number 3 will also require an advertisement in the Miami Herald. So every single time, it's gonna cost us a little money. It's gonna cost us, I think, $300. But every single time we approve an application and we do this waiver, we're gonna send a notice in the Miami Herald to say, hey, we're gonna do this. Public, be aware. If you have a problem with us doing this, we're having this meeting on this day. Come out and talk to us about if you disagree. So it will be publicly noticed every single application and every single agreement that is that's brought before on this program. The other program is a resolution, and again, this is another one that's just in draft form, primarily because we haven't received all of the information that we need from the police department. But they're working on it now. So like that information is not even a part of this. I saw the police chief when I was coming in this evening, and he says that they're still working on it, but I'm going to give you an overall view of what we're thinking here. Again, this is just a bare bones thing. It's basically to give the police department a grant to increase, and again, this is listening to you, to increase police presence in the triangle. There's an operational plan that's attached. They're still working on it. Well, I have my ideas on what it should look like, but I'm not a police officer, obviously. There's also a camera system that could be purchased that we could put on the streets in some of the CRA areas. And then that camera system can be plugged into the existing camera system that the police department has right now that also has connections with the Miami-Dade EOC and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Those cameras do not exist right now in the CRA or the Triangle. So we would pay for that. What we don't have is that number. The $150,000 number is not a real number. It's probably going to be a lot more than that. But this was just a draft form so that you all know what it looks like. So that when it does come back, you're already familiar. We plan on entering into an agreement with the police department to provide overtime, number one, for increased police surveillance in the hot areas within the CRA, and also purchasing additional cameras to plug into the existing camera system in the OCRA. But again, that's a draft resolution. And again, we bring this to you because if you have any other policing enhancement tools that you want us to include in this agreement now or at a later time, would be the opportunity to tell us that, so that when we bring it back to you, it's already in the resolution.
Are there any questions from the board?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not a question, but going back to what you just spoke about, I'm sorry if I'm skipping around because of this. The tire shop.
Yeah.
What do you?
We so I laugh with my I shouldn't say that. That was an experience.
Mhm.
So again, like I said, either myself or a person on our staff, mostly me, I went to all of these things personally before I had staff, back in September. And I knocked on doors and I had the application. I said, look, we're coming up with this program. We want you to participate. The tire shop was the first place I went to. Okay. And I've been there 3 times. And the entire place is connected to the place that's east of it, I guess, or southeast of it. They're all owned by the same people. They also gave me another idea, which is an environmental idea, and I've had meetings with not to divert, but had meetings with the Public Works Department because their drainage in those places, I mean, it's just packed. I took pictures of it. Packed.
Is it that it just needs to be cleaned out? What
Needs to be cleaned out. Like, that's an initiative that we can do. We can provide cleaning out of these drains. That's, I mean, they're clogged, they're coming out. It's dirt and soot coming from underneath the ground at these places. They've never returned our phone call. I've gone there personally. I've talked to the old man who sits in the back in the trailer. His 2 daughters own the property. I went there and handed it to them myself, and we've never received a call back. But again, a property like that is a property that I may say, hey, we've gone over $1 million. You have more money. They've now answered our phone call. Let's increase this amount, this program amount to $2 million so that we could take care of 10 more buildings. Because again, folks, that's what the money is supposed to be. We're getting hammered by the auditors and by the county for sitting on the money.
Yep.
So this is what we're supposed to be doing.
What, Madam, what about the landscaping for that same area? Even though you haven't heard from him, because that's our main, therapy, and it's just that.
It's very sad. I have an idea about that. That's under discussion.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? No. So I do have one point in regards to supporting the Opa-locka Police Department. I'm putting on my funder's hat. And so when I think about oftentimes giving grants to organizations, one of the things that you think about is like, what's the sustainability? So we can give them this grant one time, which is great. They will be able to hire police officers. I love the idea of installing cameras because that's something that can live on well beyond the year. But I asked myself the question, what does sustainability look like for them after the year? Is the anticipation that they will come back to us because they'll want funding in year 2, or how do we make sure that they're just set up for success? I don't have the answer to the question. It is more of a question that I'm putting out there to figure out, we know that this is necessary. We know that it's needed. It's why we're doing it. But how do we make sure that, after year 1, we're not just pulling, the funding and all of a sudden there's less police and then it goes back to what it was before.
Gotcha. But this is a 1-year agreement.
I know. Yeah.
And hopefully the idea would be that they've tackled the issue and we don't have an issue anymore. And I'll give you an example of that. We had we had a certain type of agreement like this in my previous job at the Omni with the City of Miami Police Department. And that grant was a $500,000 grant to the City of Miami Police to give enhanced services in the Omni area for a 1-year period. Mainly because at that time we had a huge prostitution and fentanyl overdose problem. Literally, I would drive to work and there were, 3 ambulances on the corner because people were just going into Overtown, coming across the tracks and dropping. It was a big problem. And when you see things work, I've seen things work, right? So when we put money in there and I don't know what happened, whether it was a combination of a whole bunch of things, but the problem went away. Problem wasn't there anymore. So the next year, when we went to re-up for the grant, they got less money and they focused on something else because that problem was there. So that's why it's a year-to-year grant. Hopefully, and like this program right now, even what they've been talking about is only a 3-month operation, but they're going to suppress the area for a 3-month period. So hopefully within that 3 months, now that's the police idea, but I think of it another way because for me, it's all about presence. And I go down there a lot because I go, we're funding some affordable homes down there. So I see what's happening. And there needs to be presence. So I'll tell the chief again, I don't wear the badge, and I those that do, I pray for them. But that same amount of money where you would take 4 officers and you do it from, let's say, I'm making this up, from 6 to 2 a.m. for a 3-month period, that same amount of money could be done for 1 officer just sitting there all day long for 365 days of the year. So, and just driving around that little spot. Again, I'm not a police officer, but I did the math and it doesn't work out that way. So which one would you rather? Again, this is in draft form. We're listening to you. We're listening to the police department. We don't have the quotes for the cameras yet. They're still doing their estimates, but when they do, we're ready to go.
Beautiful. And so the one thing that I ask is that as you all are negotiating this, you are ensuring that they are thinking about sustainability and what does this mean in the long term.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Over to you for the next item.
Next item would be a resolution of the Board of Opa-locka Redevelopment authorized the interim director to establish a home buyer education and financial assistance program. So this is something I believe was talked about either when I was here or on one of the meetings that I watched. And it's basically to allow us to set up a program, and you have some bullet points in the backup of an outline of what a program looks like, but I don't know, what you guys want this program to look like. There are various ways that you can do it. First of all, there's an education component, so you would have to go through some type of class. I just found out tonight that there's somebody in the neighborhood that's already doing this, so maybe we don't even have to reinvent the wheel. Maybe we could just have them pay them to operate our program, or we don't even have to do this, which would be perfectly fine with me. And then you need to determine what your criteria, what do you want to pay? Do you want to pay the closing costs? You want to pay half of the closing costs. You want to pay the first, 3 months of the mortgage. You have to figure out what that is. But this would allow us to establish a program. Again, draft form. You let me know what your thoughts are in terms of what should be put in there, and we will we'll put it in there.
If I may, one of the things that I would like to see happen with this home buyer program would definitely be that we make sure that our employees, the city of Opa-locka employees, definitely know about this program. And I don't know if I can say this or not, but sort of kind of be preferred in this program. I don't think I said anything too wrong.
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't
Okay.
think so. I mean, I get what you're saying.
Okay.
We've had this issue in other areas. We talk about advertising. You got the Fair Housing Act that you have to, but I think the teachers, the school board's doing it with development.
Teacher next door and stuff like that.
So I don't know how that works, but we'll leave that to the attorneys, but I get what you're saying.
Okay.
And the idea is just basically to promote this thing wherever we can.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Okay, the home buyers program, are we focusing on home buying in the city of Opa-locka?
Yep, only in the CRA.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking.
Only in the CRA.
Okay,
Okay.
The property would have to be located within the CRA. And again, this is about, one of the things, again, taking back to my other job, everybody was about affordable housing because in that area, the housing was unaffordable. So that was a major, major push to make sure that this doesn't become another Brickell. Here is a different story, and I'm listening to what you're saying. We have enough affordable housing. Like we need some more, but we have enough. And maybe now we need to start bringing home ownership to the table and bringing people who own their homes and have a stake in the community. And so this is just another tool that we get to use to promote that.
If I may, Madam Chair,
Yes.
I completely agree. Because I'm hearing what people are paying for rent.
Yep.
And then the 30 years, well, I paid my house off early, but for the years that I did have a mortgage, it was never, at most, it was like $778 for my house. And I'm hearing people that are renting 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms for $2,400.
27.
Right. And I'm sure they can get a mortgage, but the problem with them buying a house is always saving up that money for that closing cost or something like that. So I like both. I like us giving them an option. You want us to pay your first 3 months mortgage, or you want us to aid you in your closing, in your closing costs to said amount of money. We have to cap it off because even those are quite expensive.
Yes.
I don't think your mic is on.
sorry about that. We can also consider a portion of the down payment. Closing costs, down payment, and you said maybe 3 months of mortgage. Based on calculations of how much we would have to pay. I guess we would have to think on how we would decide how much we would pay for that to assist, because everybody's mortgage note won't be the same. So I'm not sure that we will just make like, okay, we'll do 5,
Yes, that's why I said
yeah, so
to
we don't,
aid,
yeah.
have a cut,
Right.
have a cutoff
Mhm.
either way.
Okay.
I hear you.
So so couple thoughts here. So one, there is a program, there's a first-time home buyer program that exists in Opa-locka already. So 10 North Group has been running a first-time home buyer program now for many years. In fact, it's been decades. When I bought my home many, many years ago, my first home, 15 or so years ago, I participated in their program. So they've been doing this a really long time. They have lots of funding. And so I would love to see us not compete with them and perhaps allow them to run the first time home buyer program. Love the idea of how do we make sure that our City of Opa-locka employees have an opportunity to get in, and maybe it's a special, home buyer program just for them. We can figure that out, but would love to see us maybe support their existing program. And then, I would love for us to then use the money that we have to invest in the down payment and closing costs. So as we know, it is hard to get a home here. One, prices are so high, which means you have to then save up a lot of money for the down payment and the closing costs. But then in addition to that, there are a lot of folks who are buying homes as cash buyers. There's a lot of corporations that are buying homes. So there is a lot stacked up against folks. And so I would vote to make sure that we're allowing people to use that money for the down payment and the closing costs so they can get in the home. I'd probably say less on the 3 months because hopefully they have the money to pay month to month. But how do we make sure that they can actually compete with some of these cash buyers and the corporations that are coming in to actually get the homes? But love where this is going. I would say let's figure out how we partner with 10 North Group and then take our money and put it into helping people actually get into the homes.
I like it.
I like it too. I know we're not voting, but I like it too.
Mr. Manager, any
So
other?
the last item is to create, so this will go in line with a discussion item we have, but we want to try to, we notice there's a lot of barren places, overgrown lots and strips that are not maintained properly. And, we want to really look at creating a green beautification team and really look at strips of land, medians, vacant properties that are overgrown, and really do some plantings of colorful, vibrant plants and native plants and trees throughout these areas and maintain them within the CRA. So this basically is setting up that program, and we'll bring a program to you. But just to give you an idea of what we're thinking about and moving forward with at least our area in the OCRA and the medians, the right of ways, sprucing it up, greening it up, and just making the overall environment better. We'll bring that to you. So the other thing would be the discussion items.
Really quickly, I'm sorry, before we move on, what's the community wellness program? I see that as a part of this. What do you envision that?
Well, the community also being a part of, so it won't just be us
Okay.
doing this program, like the community would also be participating. And there's and again, it says fact-based, research-based, research-backed a program where people will participate from the community in their own yards, in the community yard.
So I love it. I'll throw out an idea that I've always had is how do we take some of these properties that are overgrown and how do you create shared community gardens? So perhaps people who live in
Right.
apartment buildings, they can actually grow their own fruits and vegetables. They can learn
Yes.
how to do it. They've got a plot of land they can share. So for what it's worth, I share that with you in case it fits into this program that you're building, but love it.
Gotcha. The next item is discussion item about code enforcement officer. This was for board member Kelly. We did meet, we had a very positive meeting with the manager regarding the addition of a code enforcement officer that would be paid for by the OCRA, that would be confined to the OCRA. This person would be either a full-time or part-time position, but their only job would be to enforce the code within the Opa-locka CRA. And we think that this can help us, number one, go further in trying to clean up the curb appeal of the street. We use the hammer of code enforcement, but then you can use the carrot of the CRA to help them come into compliance. So that would be the goal, to increase our presence in code enforcement. And then, like I said, the city has, I think, 2 or 3. We would just add one more, and then they can take that person, the other person, and move it to other areas of the city. So it's a win-win for both the OCRA and both the city of Opa-locka.
Any questions? Okay, let's move to the next item.
The update on the purchase. So despite what rumors people are telling board members, we are closing on the Chinese building next week. Everything's in place. They're moving out, they're winding down their business. I am gonna need some help in that from the board members that are commissioners. We will need to make a wire transfer to close this. And I know I've seen it done before, so don't tell me that it can't be done. But in order for us to close on time and go through the state process for approval and to get a check out before January 30th, that's next week, we're gonna need a wire transfer. And I know that it's been done.
So Mr. Manager is saying he needs a champion on this board who can help him push that through. That's what I hear.
But we were waiting on the requisition to be signed, which includes the closing statement. The phase 1, the phase 2 environmentals were done. They were complete. We had to pay, money to have that done. It came out clean enough for us to buy. And we're looking to close, like I said, on January 30th, pending this wire transfer that has to take place. The state has already said that they would expedite their approval process. Once they get their approval process expedited, which hopefully will be this week. Next week, we need a wire transfer. Leave it at that. I'm gonna call you if I don't get it. Okay?
This is really great news. Thank you for sharing this. This is
Yes,
exciting.
we will. And so that's a part of. So we will be the applicant
Mhm.
of our own building, and we don't know what we're gonna do with it yet, but we're gonna
Make it look better than that.
make it look better than that. Somebody had a great idea about a food hall, in that location. I have no idea, but at least at the very least, when we take ownership of it, there's some people that are sleeping there. So we've either got to put a fence around it or something to secure it, because now, it's no laughing matter when we own it.
Yeah.
Right.
And we will probably take possession of it next week. So I need to talk to the police about that. The litter buster team beautification committee, this is in line with the last resolution. We also are looking at hiring. We received some unsolicited proposals and we've also talked to the manager's office. We've also had conversations with 10 North. We're looking for someone to organize a team of 10 people that live in Opa-locka, that will get paid $15 an hour, that will clean the streets for 30 hours a week. This is going to board member Bass on Opa-locka Boulevard and Alibaba Drive. 10 people from Opa-locka, $15 an hour. There will be a team. I don't care what color shirts you want to call them. You can call them the purple shirts, the yellow shirts, the tan shirts, whatever you want to call them. They will have garbage cans. They will have garbage bags. They will have sweepers, lawnmowers, landscape equipment. They will have a truck. They will have anything they need to clean the streets every single day along the main thoroughfares of Alibaba. We estimate that that's probably going to run $200,000 to $250,000 a year. We think it's a good program because, number one, you're employing local people and you're cleaning your streets. And so, and we'll have more people on the street communicating with the business owners every day on what their needs could be. They could be like our ambassadors to the community. So we're working on that. We do have meetings set up with I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
You want to finish first?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Are we looking at an age limit?
No.
Okay, so it'll be like 18 or something.
I'm proud to say that when we set up one in the Omni, our lead guy is still there.
Mhm.
And he's probably 80 years old, speaking of age limit. And he's the lead guy. He's 80 years old.
Okay, so, when I say age limit, are we thinking about high school students
No.
during the summer? That's
No.
what I'm asking.
No.
So we looking at.
So
No.
18 and up?
Yeah.
And just help me. I should know this, but I can't think it right now. The main thoroughfares, we're thinking about 27th Ave from 151st to
Um,
135th.
No, I don't think it goes all the way 135th. No, it would be, I'm thinking of mostly Alibaba
Mhm.
from here down to the Triangle,
Okay,
and then Martin Luther King, I'm sorry, Opa-locka Boulevard
okay,
down there. And, I mean, that's where we start.
okay.
And then they could go, so what in the Omni, the way we had it is every day they had a different section. So it doesn't have to be limited to the commercial corridor. So you can go into the residential areas as well, but every day they have a different area that they go. But the main area would be clean more than the other areas.
And I heard you correctly, you're looking for an organization to run this, correct? Or have you
So
found
we looked
someone?
at everything. We looked at hiring the individuals ourselves, but then we realized who wants that headache. Then we went to the manager's office and we talked to them about because they had set up a new beautification division as well. So we thought about doing an MOU with the manager's office. I don't think anybody wants the headache of hiring more people and dealing with that. So then we just started talking to organizations around Miami-Dade County saying, hey, we want to set this up. Can we run it through your organization? And I think one or two people sent something back. Wasn't quite what I was looking for. And then I think the last group, because I saw 10 North had some folks out there cleaning around their area. And so then we had the idea, and I think Sandy called. I think Sandy, you're working on that, right, with Alex? So more recently, the latest idea is, as of like this week, is maybe expand the 10 North group and have them run it. And we pay for it to be run and we just tell them where to go. Again, that's just the latest idea. I'm up for it. Anything they want to do, I don't want the headache. If we could just pay somebody else to do it and we make sure that we dictate what the program is, it's fine with me. So
Sounds good.
that's an update on that.
Okay.
And the last item, or not the last item, because we still have to talk about the park thing. The last item is I'm a full believer that a community redevelopment agency needs to be at the street level. These are nice office spaces here, and the management office has treated us very kind. But I really do think, especially in this community, that we need to be on the street. And so, in driving by different areas, I think I found the perfect spot, which is the 319 Opa-locka Boulevard spot, right across the street from this building. There's an open space on the corner that we can rent.
The pink billboard?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that we can rent for our office space that make it easier. One of the biggest complaints I have from people that come see me is that they can't access it. They can't find us. I mean, they get here and they get lost, especially when they get to the fourth floor. So we need to be seen. We need to have our logo on the building that we just painted and put impact windows on. And we need to have an office down there. So right now we're in the middle of negotiating a lease with the owner. Vice Chair can tell you that that's not running as smoothly as I thought it would because, we're trying to get some answers quickly. We're not getting them as quickly as we want, but it's our goal to bring that to you, to lease that space so that we can have a space and then open up a lot of community groups and organizations. They need space also to have their meetings.
Right.
That we can, open it up to them because it's actually a pretty big space over there. So
That's
maybe
great. This is a great idea.
maybe community groups can come in and have their club meetings or whatever. They can use it for that. But and it's a nice space, and we plan on doing the parking lot over there. We plan on doing the paint. We plan on doing the impact windows, so it'll be a whole totally different corner.
Can't wait to see it.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the little building that's just behind it.
And that's included. We just did, that's our 10th building that we didn't get before print time to put on there. The turkey turkey building.
Idas.
Yeah. So that is up for discussion as well.
Okay.
And so the idea would be to either, again, we're about revitalizing, right? And however you get there, you get there. So either we can take it now, either through a lease or through a purchase. I think it may be historic or could be historic.
It's been there a long time. It used to be Ida's restaurant.
So either we could take it or we can recommend it to anybody that we know that is interested in opening up a restaurant in Opa-locka
Exactly.
and say, hey, this thing is available. And then they can apply for the same grant that everybody else applied for and fix it up and then make it operational. Or we can do it and then we do an RFP. And then we can, do an RFP for someone to come in to operate something there. It's a great spot. I did talk to the owner about the spot and he said it's up for discussion. So we didn't add that to this, but that is our 10th location that we will be working on to try to get that spot activated as well.
So what's number 9? Because I see 8 boards up there.
Number 9 is Jackson Soul Food, the actual restaurant.
Okay.
That was the annex that we're gonna paint. But then I drove by it and realized that the actual, because I thought they didn't need it because that's like the newest building around, and so it's fine. But then as I drive around it more, it needs a paint job.
Okay.
So that would be the 10th building. And again, some of them will need $150,000. Some of them will need $10,000. But those are 2 that are just paint jobs that are very minor things that we can do. And so yeah, that would be the 10th one, the actual Jackson Soul Food. But they don't know that yet. But we're just going to tell them that we're going to paint their building. They know about the annex. They don't know about the actual Jackson Soul Food building. We're going to surprise them with that now.
Okay.
And then the last item would be, I know the vice mayor has been wanting to discuss, we haven't had the opportunity to do so, the idea about the park activation. I know I heard some discussion in the meetings that I watched before we were hired. And so we did put, I believe, $200,000 in there for park and the budget for park improvements. So, and I think the vice mayor has some specific ideas about a splash park in a certain park. So I don't know if you want to discuss that now or.
I sure do. Thank you, Madam Chair. So if you drive north of us, you wouldn't know, even northwest of us, you would notice that so many parks have been redone. Some of them, like I think it's Brentwood's Park, they totally cleared the whole thing and then it's beautiful. But what I do notice, when I even go further north, that the park areas, not only do they have a playground on the same piece of property, they have a playground, they have where the parents can exercise pretty much right next under the umbrella, right next to the swing, not swing, but to the playground area. And I was like, that would be nice to have a little splash pad, and then you have the kids playing, the parents exercising, and those kids that don't want to play on the playground, they're over getting wet. And I like that.
Mm-hmm.
We have plenty of space at Shabundy for it. And that's what I like. And if I may I won't say so, I don't want to be too pushy, but summer is coming. And I'm sure that I know Lakeisha doesn't have kids, but I know Commissioner Baz I'm going to say this and she's going to completely agree. This summer, the kids at Shabundy Park will have something to play on because it's hideous. I don't even know why I'm still standing, but it needs to.
Oh, the playground for the kids.
Yes.
That we're talking about. Okay,
Yes.
got it. Okay. So part of what you're saying is renovating the playground.
Yes, have like a 3-in-1, couple of park benches and stuff like that.
Okay. So I'll reach out to the manager's office and work with their office because it is a city park.
Mm-hmm.
And so before we do anything, we would need authority and permission to do something. So I will let them know that we have these funds available for improvements in parks, and then share your ideas with them. And if they are amenable, we can bring back a resolution that would provide funding for either them to allow us to place this there,
Mm-hmm.
or to allow us to transfer money to the city so that the city parks department can place it there. And that's the same agreement that we're doing with the Butterfly Garden right now.
Okay, either way, it just needs to be done. Summer's coming soon. I know we're in January, but summer's coming soon.
So I do have a couple, I think, thoughts. So I have to admit, I hear splash pad or slash park, splash pad. And I think, oof, how much money does it cost to maintain that? And so I think for me, I would love to understand what that cost implication is and making sure that obviously the city will be able to maintain that. I just think about the amount of water, the chlorination, like all the things. So the question that I'm asking myself is like, how much does it cost? And ensuring that if we build something that we feel confident that the city of Opa-locka will be able to maintain it in the future. I think the playground needs to be renovated. You will never hear me say no to making sure that people have spaces to exercise. I wonder if we're going to go down this route where we're looking at how we improve parks. I just wonder, should we bring in someone to help give us some expert counsel to say, like, you all have the big space. This is what I would recommend you do versus us maybe thinking about what we can put there, and we can consult with them. But I would really love to hear from an expert and get their thoughts on what we could potentially do with that space.
I'll mention that to the manager.
I think they've already
Done that?
mentioned it to the manager. They've had
Studies done?
some conversations about stuff. Maybe not the splash pad, but the other stuff
Okay.
they have.
But may I?
Yes.
I love the idea of the splash pad, but we have to see where that goes. But let's not forget the west side, because you know how that goes. You putting it on our,
The east
this
side.
east side. What happened over here? So, yeah.
You're right. The east side does need stuff. But I don't know if the east side is CRA. It's
It is.
It is.
Ingram
Top lot.
Park is CRA.
Or top lot. Or the top lot. Isn't that ours?
Isn't there another park over in Magnolia North?
Isn't it the top lot?
I don't know. Maybe
I
I
don't
don't know. Yeah, I don't know the
I
name.
would be lying
Okay.
to you.
So I know there's a park in the Magnolia North space.
I'm still getting familiar with the areas.
Yeah, that I believe, does the city of Opa-locka run that park?
I think
It's just there. That's the one
yeah.
on Alibaba. The
Yeah.
little
Correct, yes.
next to Miss Russell's
And so
building.
that would be, that is in the CRA.
Yeah,
And so that could have.
that needs some love.
100%.
Okay,
We'll take a look at all of that.
it sounds good to me.
So with that, we'll move on to the next item. Any board comments?
Since I'm already talking, I'll take that. We talked, well, during the holiday season, I went to have the Christmas party with the seniors. And I had a few seniors that pulled me aside and wanted to know, is there anything the city could do to help them? Like one lady said, a roof, and I said, I think the roof is not in our budget, but maybe she was like, just something, some paint, just something to help me with my house. So I'm not sure if she's in the CRA. I'm not sure if she's she is on the east side, but I text her for her address, but realized I don't know what I saved her name under. But and I know we are doing the beautification for at least 10 homes or whatnot. So it's me trying to say, are we at that 10 home capacity, or is there space that if the senior is in our zone that we could possibly help our Opa-locka seniors with their houses?
Yes, Opa-locka CRA seniors.
Yes.
At least from our side. So we do have Miami Service Corps working on that, on the 10 homes that were approved. Those were not major renovations. Those were, cosmetic type, renovations that were, landscaping. They weren't doing major work because that's the program where the kids, do the work as volunteers and they get a stipend. So the program that you're talking about does not exist with us right now. It can. But right now it does not exist.
Okay,
Um,
can we look into it?
Yes, we are looking
Okay.
into it.
Okay,
And it's something that we can do and something that we can look into to implement shortly, but it's not something that we have, that you guys have approved that I've seen. But is it something that we can do? Absolutely. We've done it in other CRAs, where we do replace windows, where we do replace roofs of residential housing within the CRA. But that program has not been approved, to my knowledge, by this board. We can put something together that you can approve, and then we can deal with the person that you're talking about.
okay, Mr. Manager, if we can look into, put something together to bring back to us so that we can approve it.
Yes.
Okay,
Beautiful.
or at least discuss it.
Any other
Thank you.
any other comments? Okay, so with that, may I please have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Beautiful.
Thank you.